Hello and welcome to this lesson 2 on this series on musical electronics for Arduino. It was created for the students at Saturday Academy. I am Will Patillo, the instructor for this course. In addition to the light blinking when we press the button on and off, we will also be playing a noise on a speaker. Now, first of all, for the wiring in this project, we can basically use the same setup as before. We're just going to add one more little circuit into this. So we'll use output 10 on the Arduino, and again, it doesn't really matter which one you use as long as you set the code accordingly. But what is important on this output is that you use one of the outputs with a little squiggly line next to it. That is one that supports pulse width modulation, because the speaker will need that. And yeah, then that's speakers. You just have one end on a speaker connected to the output pin, and the other end of the speaker connected to your ground rail. And we don't need any resistance. That will just affect the volume here. And so if you want to extend this design a little bit more and have a little volume control, then you could put a potentiometer between the speaker and the ground rail and just have a little bit of variable resistance, which will make the speaker quieter when you turn the resistance up and louder when you turn the resistance back and down. So next, I'm going to jump into the code. So this is just continue off of our code from earlier. I've created a new file, and so it'll be in a different folder on the GitHub page. That's just for organizational purposes. You can just continue extending the existing file that you have if you like. So to get started, the first thing we'll need is a new output pin. So I'm going to use define speaker, and I'm going to use pin 10. Yeah, that'll work. Define speaker as pin 10, and then I will need, so that's just creating my constant so I don't have to remember that 10 is the speaker. Then I need to actually set up the pin to be an output. So say pin mode, all caps, speaker, and all caps again, output, semicolon. And by the way, if I want to change the pin to say to be pin 9, all I need to do is just change it here. And this will automatically, the speaker will always be referring to pin 9 instead of 10. So that we don't, by just using these constants, we don't need to change our pin number throughout the code if we want to change it for whatever reason. That's another value of using constants. Okay, that's it for the setup. And next, for our loop, I'll just create a new method right here. I'm going to call this button tone. Now I'm going to define that method down here. So void button tone, open close parenthesis, open close curly brace. And I'm going to zoom in a little so you can see this better. Alright, so here's what we have. And then next for our tone, it'll be pretty similar to this light switch, so we'll just look at the same button right here. So if digital read button high, open close curly brace, and then we just type in tone and speaker, and then here we need to put the frequency that we're using right here. So I'm just going to leave that blank for now. Put in an else statement and type in no tone speaker, and actually just that. Now right here I could just put in a number directly. Say I'll go with 200, save and upload this, and now when I press my button you can hear kind of this low note. If I change it to a higher value, say like 1000, and I upload this, I get a much higher and more annoying note. But one thing here is I'd like these notes to actually correspond to real notes on the Western scale, so that they all sound a little better. They don't have these kind of sharp or flat or off-sounding kind of notes. And I'd like to be able to refer to them by their note name, rather than just knowing that, say, 1009 happens to be some note on the scale, like, or even if it even is. So for that, I'm going to need to bring in a library that just has a, kind of like these constants that we have here, that just has a bunch of constants with numbers attached to them and note names. Set the middle C, for example, I can just refer to that note name here rather than remembering what number I need to use. So for that, first I'll need to add a library to this project, and the way I can add a library is over here at the top, right below the serial monitor. Click this little down arrow and click the New tab from that list, and then I'm going to create a name for this new file, and I'm going to call it pitches.h. The .h is to make it a header file, and click OK. And now I have a new file right here, so this is my earlier code, and there's a new tab right here. If I look inside of my project, and if I look in my folder, I can see this pitches.h right alongside the file for my code. So that's creating a library file. Now to actually fill it with some stuff, I'm going to go online, and if I search just on a new tab, look for Arduino and tone tutorial, then I can look right up here in this tone melody option that come up pretty early on search, and there's some tutorials right here where it explains a lot of the stuff and it uses an example. We'll be going over some of our own code for playing notes. The thing you really need is this thing where it says paste in the following code. I'm going to copy all of this and paste that inside of my pitches.h. If you have any trouble finding this, by the way, this header file will you can also just copy the header file from the GitHub page into your project. So I'm going to Control C with all of this selected, and then go back here into my pitches.h file, press Control V, and bring it all in right here. And then I'll click Save. Save that. And now, if I want to, say, use C5 in the 5th octave, I can just copy that and put that right here. So now, when I upload my project, and I am skipping a step, it says note C5 was not declared in the scope. That's because I need to import the library near the top. So just above my constants up here, I've put in another line, a little hash symbol, include, and in quotes, pitches.h. So now Arduino will know to look for this file when it's going through this program. Right now it doesn't know, before it didn't know what note C5 was because it wasn't aware to look in this file. So that's what this include line does. So now when I verify, it should not have any errors anymore, and I upload this, and I play it, and now I'm getting that C5 note. If I want a different note, let's just say D3, I can just type in that, or just type it in directly, and upload that, and now I should get a different note. Yeah, so you can play around with this and put in different notes to see what they sound like. They're basically just the notes on the scale. I believe it includes sharps and flats as well. Yeah, and then that's actually all you need for being able to play sound on your Arduino.